Hello. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, depending where you are. Uh, Welcome to the Call to Action Learn. We are back with another weekly session, which is a great session anyway. I will give you in a couple of minutes some more detail about the session, and also, of course, introduce the speaker as well. Uh, from my side, I just want to welcome you, everyone. As usual, we have a great speaker with us, Konstantinos. It's not the first time that he delivered a session with us, as you know, and the plan is essentially for us to just enjoy, learn a bit more about clouds, in this case related to container apps and service bus, and also Microsoft Entra ID, and also, of course, if you have some nice foods close to you, just enjoy the foods. I will be trying to enjoy my food as well. And without further ado, I'm going to just introduce our speaker. Welcome, Konstantinos. How are you doing?
Hello, I hope everyone is okay, is fine today. Thank you for joining us. It's been my second time here, I think. It's been an honor to present here in Cloud Lunch and Learn. Thank you, Hugo, for the introduction. So today we have a
You're
great
welcome.
session that I have prepared for you. I decided to not do so much deployment, and we're going. Deployment is already there, so we're going to see each part separately, but we're not going to make deployments. I have seen the last 2 days I had some problems with my subscriptions, and even if I created a new one and another new one, I still had a problem with the provider registration. So to stay away from any culprit, we are going to see the solution, and I will display and provide to you all the details of how we're going to uh, prepare and give to our users a registration form where they just enter preferred nickname, and in a matter of seconds they are entered into our Entra ID directory, or as commonly known, Azure Active Directory. It may seem quite simple, but it is a lot of parts coming into play here, and it is a good application you can provide to your administrator, use it for yourself, or expand it and do other things. A little bit about me. I'm Konstantinos. I'm calling from Greece, Athens. I'm working as a solutions architect here in a big company in Athens. Um, I have quite a lot of certifications. I've chosen some of the most, favorite of mine. I recently, in the summer, took the Terraform Associate, which was a target, for me for most more than 1 year. I was very happy that I was able to take that certificate. And the solutions architect, I think everyone should try these certifications. Very important. uh, Azure Virtual Desktop is, my side hobby. I like endpoints and virtual desktop and modern, you know, uh, modern environment in Microsoft. And DevOps engineer is quite a difficult one, but it is a very important certification for someone who wants to take a 360 view on cloud automation, DevOps pipelines, and all that things. It can introduce you to a new technology and open the view for you for new things, try out new things. I'm also an MCT. I deliver courses for people. Here are my details. You can hit me on my mail, find me on LinkedIn, or you can browse my website, where my solution, which we're going to see today, is of course there. So let's start, a little bit slowly,
Let me
because
just,
as I
Konstantinos, let me just share your screen there because people are not seeing your screen. All right, it's all good. Now you have your screen there active. So are you
thank
happy
you.
to take over?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So I was saying earlier, here are my details. You can hit me on LinkedIn or go to my website. You will find there this solution, or you can send me an email, whatever. I'm open to the community. I'm all about the community. I like to interact with people, network with people. I'm a big fan of learning. I like to learn new things, try out new things, and this is how I spend my free time when I have free time, trying out new things. So this was an idea that came into my mind, and it is an extension of another solution where users used to be uh, you know um, stored into another database, Cosmos DB or SQL DB, and then via Azure Functions entered into Entra ID or Azure Active Directory. For the sake of it, we are going to use Entra ID since this is the new name for Azure Active Directory. So if you don't understand or you have any problem, I think there is a chat for you where we can ask questions. I will try to answer at the end, and if there's something important, you can, Hugo, you can stop me and we can discuss whatever is needed.
Sounds good.
So for our deployment, we're using Terraform. Let's have a look on our folder. So we have here our root folder where we have our HTML. It's a very simple HTML. We're going to see it later. Here we have, ignore this folder, the queue. We have the triggers. Our Azure functions have two triggers. The first is the HTTP trigger, where when a user hits submit from the HTML form, the Azure function is sending the data, the first name, the last name, and the nickname to service bus queue. There is a second trigger where when a message is received on the service bus queue, we are executing a script. Both scripts are JavaScript. It's executing a script where all the details are via MS Graph into Entra ID. So once you hit click in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds, because service bus is very fast, you're going to have your user into Entra ID. So this is our folder structure. This is our functions. This is Terraform, and this is our form. Let's see what we have on Terraform because we need our infrastructure, of course. For anyone that uses Terraform, all this may seem familiar, but for those that are just, seeing Terraform for the first time or are just getting started with Terraform, I'm going to explain a few things. Terraform is an automation tool, is an infrastructure as code automation tool. We can write in code or all of our resources and be able to deploy them and redeploy in a matter of repetition. It's very easy, to handle a lot of resources, a lot of environments via code. It's faster. It may seem difficult at the beginning, but once you get to know it, you are going to be very quickly, very used to it, and you're gonna love it, of course. For our Terraform, file to be able to communicate with our provider, in this case Azure, we need a service principal. So what we do, we store the details of the service principal as variables. So we need a variables file. It is the secret, the client ID, which is the application ID. Okay, the subscription ID, tenant ID, and here I have a user because I'm going to set into my configuration that a user would be able to enter details, secrets into a key vault. We're going to see that. Here is the accompanying file, the Terraform TFR, where you have your actual variables. There are a lot of ways to avoid this to be into your code. You can enter them once you start deploying, so the Terraform will ask you for these details, or you can store them somewhere else. Anyway, this is the easier way to do it. Terraform TF vars file where you store your actual values. The TF state backup is created once we start deploying, once we start initializing Terraform, and the state of also providers is important also because it declares which provider we're going to use. Terraform is compatible with a lot of providers, Azure, AWS, Google. A lot of providers are there, so we have to declare which we're going to use, and this is our source. Azure RM is the provider for our case. We can enter some details here about Key Vault. Prevent deletion if contains resources. If we want to delete our deployment, because it is very easy to delete your deployment and reapply it, redeploy it in a matter of two lines, two commands. We can delete our resource groups no matter if they have resources into them. This is something that I had to enter yesterday because I saw that Azure had some problem registering some providers, so I had to enter this because it wouldn't proceed to create our resources. So because one registration or two had problems, I have to enter this command. So Terraform will not have to register each and every resource provider on our subscription. And here are our variables. They have to be in the providers or in the main file, which have the extension TF. And here is the main file, the most important file, equally important, I would say, where we write our resources. Let's have a quick look. This is the resource group. We have to provide the name and the location. Terraform has a very special way for us to create, naming. Aside from naming conventions where we should use when we are in production or in a multi-subscription environment or when we are creating landing zones, we have the ability to have a random string, and we are going to use it, as you can see right below. I'm creating a storage account. Because I have to have a random name, I'm using this syntax where I will start with two letters, then the random string, which is 5 characters, as you saw earlier, 5 characters length, and a 01, just to be sure that this is my deployment. I can also enter tags and more details here. These are the minimum required for me to create a storage account. We're creating a log analytics workspace because we need application insights. Let me tell you, if you start working with functions, serverless in general, web apps, and all that beautiful things from Azure, it is very important for you to use application insights. Application Insights provides you a very deep view into your code, what's going on when you're starting to execute and when you are start to use these resources. You have a very deep and detailed view of what's happening with your code, what's happening when you execute your function app or your web app, and it's very important to work with it. So I have created an application insights. You see that the workspace ID takes the ID of our log analytics workspace. Watch here the syntax. I'm creating a log analytics workspace that I name it logs. This is my name. I name it like this because I can use it later to refer to it. And I'm referring to each ID with this syntax. As you understand, each resource in our syntax can refer to another parameter of another resource. Thus, we are creating implicit dependencies, but we can also have explicit dependencies. We're going to see that later. Here is our instrumentation key and the connection string. We're not using consumption for our function apps. We're using an app service plan. It is a Linux, a small one. We don't need a very large, um, application uh, service plan. Here is our function app. I'm sorry. What's here? The name. I'm entering 3 characters, and the round stream I had earlier. The location is taken from the resource group location, the resource group name here. The service plan ID, we declared it earlier. So this function will be created after this one. This is an implicit dependency. We don't have to say to Terraform, tell Terraform, okay, you're going to create this and then you are going to create this. Since we are having this in our function app, Terraform understands that it has to create the resource group, and before it creates the function app, the service plan, the application service plan has to be created first. The same applies for the storage account. We need a storage account for the logs of the function app. We're using extension version 4. Some application settings, we can set them here on the Terraform. We're using JavaScript, so Node is our selection for the worker runtime. The connection string from application sites. We are already assigning a system assigned identity on the function app. We're going to see why. The Node version is 18. Course, very important setting. Guys, when we are creating function apps or web apps or anything that has to do with web applications, uh, you have to have on your mind the core setting. It is very important. Many failures occur from wrong or not set course settings. So we are going to allow every origin for our deployment. We can narrow this down when our calls are coming in from a specific website, so we can have a level of security here, a level of control of who is talking to our function URL. Okay, we're creating a second resource group here where we're creating our service bus. I set a name here myself. I could use the random string as well. Also here an identity and a queue. Service bus as a resource has a sub resource, or you can say that we can create queues into our service bus resource. Queues are responsible for taking our data input. There are queues that have the input and the output. So this is the reason we have queues in our service bus. Data comes in, data goes out. We're using a key vault. We're using a key vault because we're going to need some settings on our script that is on the second function app. So we want to store some secrets on our key vault. So we're creating the key vault already in our Terraform file, and the magic starts here. We can create our policies directly from Terraform. First of all, I'm setting the tenant ID as data here for the code to be aware of the tenant ID. I could use also the variable that I have here on my Terraform TFRs. I'm using the object ID, which is the function app identity, and this 0 means that it uses the first one assigned, which is the system assigned managed identity. I could have also user assigned managed identity. I'm using the system assigned. And I'm providing a permission get. Function app just need a get permission to get the secrets that we are going to store on Key Vault. An access policy for the worker, meaning this deployment, this service principal that's running also the code. This is the worker that's running the code, the service principal. So we are giving him also permissions, create and get, key permissions, and some secret permissions. So this is just for display. Now we want to be able as users to enter some secrets on our key vault. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating another access policy on our key vault. As you can understand, this is not our back policies. It is the access policies of key vault, the other way to set policies of who can store what and who can see what on key vault. And here I'm taking the user. As you remember, I have a user here in my variables. This is a user of mine that I wanted to be able to log in into the portal and be able to do these things on Azure Key Vault. So as you understand, I can do this directly from the Terraform code. And now we are creating three secrets: tenant ID, client ID, and the client secret. I'm entering the value directly here. I could use the variables from earlier, but I wanted to show you here that we can enter the value. It's better, of course, to use variables. It's more secure. So three secrets on our key vault. We're going to use them later on our code. Let's move on. The container app environment. We are also uploading a certificate. The certificate should be on our local the PC or able to be reached from our code somewhere else. We can enter the path here. And the container app. Single revision with 5 max replicas and 1 minimum. We can directly say to the container apps which image is going to use. I have this image which we're going to display a little bit later how we deploy this Docker image. It has to be a public repo for us to perform this very simple uh, declaration. Where is the image? How are you going to get this? Because it's public, you don't have to authenticate. And of course, we're going to need an ingress uh, controller, you can say, that will target port 80 TCP, HTTP. Now, there is a very new thing on Entra ID. Let me quickly show you. There is a new role available for us on access control. The new role is this one, the role-based access control administrator. What does this mean? A usual problem that we had when we are creating, configurations for infrastructure as code is we didn't want to provide owner access to our code. Contributor was the most, that we could provide, and it would be better if we don't have either contributor. But contributor is fine. Since we want to be able to assign role-based access control roles to, for example, a function app, with this role, I'll just show you, the role-based access control administrator, we can constrain that, this object can assign this role, and we can say that we'll have the role-based access control administrator and can be able to assign only the service bus, for example, data owner role. Let me make you a quick example. So let's say we want to assign the role-based access control administrator. I think it's in here. Yes, in privilege. Let's go directly to conditions. Watch here what's going on. So I can give my code or my service principal this role, but it is in preview. But I can constrain it to provide only certain roles to others. So you got this? I can provide this role to my service principal, but constrain it to be able to provide only certain roles to others, or certain roles and principal types, or constraint roles and principals in general. So what I'm doing here, I'm assigning the role to my function app via our Terraform code. Our service principal that runs this code has the role-based access control administrator, but it can be able to assign only this role, and only this role is assigned to our function app. Okay, it is needed for the function app to be able to communicate with the service bus queue and be able to put data into the queue. So let's move on from our Terraform. This is our infrastructure. When we deploy this, you will have everything available for you, and with a little tuning, you will be able to run this small application. Of course, we have an HTML. The HTML is an HTML form that will provide first name, last name, and nickname. And once the user hits submit, he is going to send the data to our function app endpoint, to the API, you can say. It is a post action, and we have to be we have to set anonymous for the function apps, and the style to have a nice background and colors. Inside this folder, we're creating a Docker file. The Docker file is very simple. It will run an Nginx server and will copy all the contents of this directory into the Nginx HTML. So it will publish the index and the style as an image. And what are we going to do with this image? We're going to upload it to Docker. So I'm having this image in my Docker repo. If you saw the code earlier on Terraform, it will be available for my container apps to grab it and publish it. Let's return to our portal and see what container apps has as per our configuration in Terraform. Here is the container, and you can see that it has I showed you earlier. This is the image and the tag from Docker, a public image. Of course, we can have integration with Azure Container, and we can lock down the images and the connection between container apps and our Azure Container Registry with private endpoints. This is a more secure idea, but this is a very simple one for someone that is starting with Docker and containers. You can publish your image to Docker and then grab it from container apps and publish it. So finally, what's going on here? We have a revision. We have a single revision that is running. We have also uploaded a certificate, if you remember from our Terraform code. So let's create our custom domain with our already uploaded certificate. Let's see that. We're going to add our custom domain, and I have already my certificate. So I have created already the required CNAME and TXT records on my DNS register, you can see that I am able to select my certificate, and this is uploaded directly from Terraform. Okay? Remember, in our code, we have 5 lines where we uploaded this certificate from Terraform to containerize environment. So we're going to need this CNAME and this TXT. I don't remember to have created the TXT, so let me be sure. Just hit one validate. I don't think it will be ready. We need the I hope everyone understands what's going on and what I'm trying to explain to you. If it is difficult or something is not understandable, I urge you to ask and discuss it together. For a very simple app, there are a lot of things going on here. I can understand that. But from my perspective, and only, this is a better way for someone to learn. At some point, we have to, dive a little bit deeper out of our comfort zone. When I started this and try to, make an idea come true, it took me almost 10 days. It may seem simple or easy, but for me, it was my first time. Okay, and this is the way that I started learning better and understand better. I dive deep. I took an idea that I said I'm going to make this come true. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to my register and I will enter that just this TXT record. Let me do that very quickly. Each time you start the process and cancel it, the C name of course remains the same because this is actually the URL. Don't want to use a custom domain. Container Apps already has deployed our web app, web form via this URL. It's an HTTPS. This thing, you can hit it directly. You'll be able to connect to your app. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, let's return to our code and we come back a little bit later. Now let's have a look quickly on our functions. From VS Code, we can create very easily our functions, and we can have multiple triggers into one function app. The first trigger is this. It's the easy one. This is the index file. I'm not going to explain every line of the code, but it kind of explains itself. It's going to send the message, the data from the web form to the service bus queue. This is all that it does, nothing else. Some logging, and it can return, a status message. I have not been able to make this very nice, so ignore it. This is all it does. It uses this queue. For a function app, to work as an HTTP trigger, it needs the bindings. So the bindings are stored in the function.json file. This is the binding. The authentication level should be anonymous, otherwise we're going to need a key into our API call. So anonymous to just hit the URL from our function app. The type is HTTP trigger. Direction is in. I left the name that provided to me, and the only method we needed here was post. Somehow I left it here to have also the get. The root is called submit form. This one is the default. We can delete it or we can keep it, doesn't matter, but this is important. We have an HTTP in and a service bus out. So the trigger is taking the message and sending it to the service bus queue. Let me validate this. No, it's not validated. Let me have a quick look here. Hope I didn't make a mistake. I need the txt record for the register thing. Yeah, I forgot something to do, so I'll find it. It is asuid dot register. Yeah, now it's gonna be fine. Yeah, it will be ready in a few minutes. Now let's have a look on our second function. Most important, you're gonna like a lot this one. So this is the code. Okay, what it does, it creates some constant values: first name, last name, and nickname. We're using also a domain suffix because we need our user on Entra ID to have, you know, the suffix. Okay. In my code, I have also provided the ability for someone to not use key vault and enter the values directly. But we're using key vault. It's better to store every secret value um, and certificate into key vault, and then it's very easy. Also provided from the portal already from Microsoft. It's there. When you're using key vault, you'll be able to take the code for your application and how you're going to take these secrets. So the client ID is get key vault secret from the key vault URL here, the client ID. Okay, I'm gonna show you later how we are creating this. Very easy. The client is connecting to login.microsoftonline.com. It's gonna authenticate to MS Graph, as you can see here. It's getting the token, and now it just runs a very simple script. Create a new user with account enabled true. The display name will be his first name and last name. The mail nickname is the nickname that he provides from the form. Create here the user principal name and the password that will be forced to change that, so you don't never have to communicate with this user. So you give him the URL, you tell him, okay, go there and enter your details, and then once you try to log on again, you're going to be asked to change your password. Of course, you can expand your script and add him to a new license group. You know, you can have a group that it is already licensed, and the user will be able to work in a matter of 2 minutes. Just a click away from him to be able to work with his license. I didn't add here the script to add him to a group, but you know it is very easy for you to create it. So let's come to our portal. Let's see what we have here. Validation, it's okay. So I'm able now to use my uh, domain. What does it say here? Yeah, but we validated it. What is the problem? I don't understand. Register. Yeah. Scroll text record. We have our text record. I don't know if this is a problem with the container apps. If it needs an array record. The text is there. Let me add this very quickly, but I have already added it. That's a text record. Okay. Let's do that. Sweet. Register. It's there is already there. My domain register says. So we probably have something to do with container apps. The validation method, it is cname because I have my subdomain. Let's try to validate again. I don't know why this is not visible to him. It's already there. I'm gonna cancel and don't lose time here. It doesn't matter. You can have your own domain, but we can have also our URL here. This is the URL. So where I'm gonna hit it, I have my form here. So let's see what's going on. First of all, a quick look to Key Vault. Our Key Vault is here. We have our secrets here. So everything is already set. I have added, if you remember, in our Terraform configuration, a line that adds the secret to Key Vault. So you can add all of your secrets via Terraform. This is just one line I created for you to see that we are able to add our secrets not by hand but via Terraform. This is great. So we have our secrets here, and there's no need for you to show you the secrets. And let's go to our service bus. This is our service bus. It is the standard tier. We have also the ability to create a premium one with geo recovery. And here is our queue. It's working fine. In the access control, we have added our function app to have a role assignment of service bus data owner. Okay. Now, this is our queue. As I told you earlier, we're going to see in a moment data coming in and data going out. A quick look on our function app. This is our function app, and these are our triggers: an HTTP trigger and a service bus trigger. If you click on each one, you're going to see the code that I already showed you. I'm going just to show you the configuration that it is needed because we have integration with service bus. We need this one, a service bus connection string that is taken from service bus here in the shared access policy. We can create more keys. I just use the root managed key. I didn't have, you know, a reason to create another key. I needed the root to be able to do everything. So this is our connection string. I think it's very, very simple and easy to understand what is going on. Function app authenticates to service bus and also has the RBAC role to uh, provide data to the service bus queue. This is our queue. So let's not lose time. Let's see what's happening. Now it is a very fast process, and we have the ability to work with our Service Bus Explorer. Service Bus Explorer is an add-on on um, uh, Service Bus that provides us visibility into the queues. These are data that I had that didn't get somewhere, did not go anywhere, and we're able to see what is this. This was trials from me, when I did some tests the other day to see that the deployment is working. If the queue does not know or can do anything with data that came in, it takes the data to this flag. You can say the flag is dead letter. You can delete this one or you try to resend them. The next one is this one, and the next one is this. We have four payloads that are dead letter. My code or something was not right, so the service bus queue was not able to deliver data to anywhere. So it stayed into the queue and it's going to be deleted. I can delete them also by hand. But we don't need this one. We need this one. So let me come here and add some data. Another user is my first name, my last name is user, and my nickname is a user. As I told you earlier, I don't have created something fancy here to return the message. It is to do, something to do. I'm sorry for that. I just hit submit. Here is our data, and it left already. If I go to Azure, Entra ID, no, I'm also saying Azure, it stayed on my mind. And go to users, guys, you're going to see that the user is here, it's created, everything is fine. He can log in into the Enter ID directory. Why don't we try that to see what's going to happen? And let's go to portal.office and try to log in. If I write it correctly, we can proceed. It was a user with my test domain and the password. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. The password, the first time you have to provide it to the user. I'm sorry for that. Uh, how can I say that? A generic password. A generic password should be sent to the user. Yeah, I told you earlier that you don't have to do that. It's not possible. The user should have a one-time password. So let's use the password that I used earlier. I was too excited for this app. And let's find our password. It was on the second function app. Here. This is the password that I chose. A generic password that you can give to every user. You can add a more simple one, of course, and tell him that, okay, use this one, but you're going to change it. And of course, Enter ID will ask me to change my password. This is what I had in my mind, and I told you that you don't have to enter. Of course, you have to provide a password to the user. Yeah, the result is that the user is able to sign in, and I use a very generic one. We had a new one. Yeah, the user has to register and all that. Very nice security things that we have in Entra ID. Let's do that one more time with another user. Uh, I'm set. Let's go here and see how fast this is. I think you already saw how fast this was. Let's see once more. There is a chance we catch the directory to create the user. There is a good chance to do that. So I'm setting submit and refresh. Them set, I think. No, it's here already. Um, Couple of months earlier that I first created this app, when you hit first refresh, you were able to see here something like a user, but not quite a user. You understood that it was trying to create it. Anyway, this is the second user we created, the end user. I did no, it's M set the nickname, so it's another one. M set. This one. I'm sorry. This one. Mindset. Yeah, the time is correct. Very quickly created. And let's try once more with the container apps to validate our domain. So you will be able to use your own domain with container apps. So I believe you understood what happened here. From our VS Code, we have to, of course, have Docker installed or on PC. We just have to run two or three commands that are the most important. We have to be in our directory. So the first command is this one. We have to build our image. Okay, when I run this inside my directory, what we will do, it will build my image based on my Docker file that I have into this directory. It will do exactly this one. It will copy, it will build the image, okay? Nothing else. Once I build my image, I have to tag it. And once I tag it, this is the second part that follows in this command is tag it, but where are you going to upload this image? So this is where I upload it. This syntax means that you are going to upload it to Docker. If the Docker file fails to authenticate, you're going to need to log in. So Docker login to log in into Docker. Once you tag it, the next step is to push it. So you have to push your image into your Docker. I can push it right now. You could make a change here. Let's make a change. So you will see the change. Let's make a change. I don't have even a title here on my page. I should have the title. Let's make a small change that will be able to see the change. I don't want to change. Yeah, get element by first name. Let me remember my form. First name, last name. Yeah, we're going to change that. It's a little bit on the end of the page. Yeah, let's do this. And their first name, okay, and their last name. So let's save. Now we have to build our image because we made the change. Okay, my app, because container apps is using uh, this app, my app. I don't want to add another tag here. I can do that when I push it or when I tag it. So I have an image here named my app without no tag. Right? This was what did it just build it. Now I'm gonna tag it. My app. And now I can add a tag here. Let's see what the container apps is using so we don't have to make changes here. I just have to go to containers and see that I'm using this tag. So I will use the same one. In the build ready to be pushed to this registry. I think we are good to push it. Otherwise, we're going to need to log in. You see that the image is already there. Just need to make some changes. Yeah, I had logged in. So let's see what's going on. I have seen that container apps usually in 2 or 3 minutes makes the change. If you don't see the change, you can just restart the container. And this is what I'm going to do. And we are closing our session today. I have to go to my revision and restart the running container. So in a few seconds, you will be able to see the changes. Yeah. And this is our closing. I hope you liked this one. The point was not to, you know, uh, of course, we can utilize this application. We like administrators. We want to make their life easier. The point of this presentation was to see the integration of the different services, including infrastructure as code and code with Node and JavaScript. I really hope you liked it. I'm honored that everybody was here today, and I want to thank Cloudlands and especially Hugo for having me tonight.
Thank you
Let's
very much,
guys.
Konstantinos. It was a really great session, and we definitely have some people here welcoming you as well and appreciating the pretty much the session that you just delivered. I was just replying to Nikos.
Thank
We
you.
have Nikos here.
Okay.
Because apparently he just said that he went out of sounds, but definitely it's all good on our side. So thank you again.
Great.
Thank you everyone for attending
Thank you.
us. We see some people here from US. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and also from Brazil as well. So a nice, diverse group of people joining us. And thank you again, Konstantinos, once again for your contribution. I hope you enjoy, have a great day, and we keep in touch. Okay, and thank you everyone once again. Have a
Thank you,
great
Hugo.
evening or day or afternoon, and enjoy your day. Thank you.
Bye, guys.